Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. We are starting our February overnighter. Got my daughter with me today. Got my dogs. And this overnighter, we chose to go back to the same location which I did my January overnighter in. So off in the distance, we're heading to those cottonwood trees again. I really like that area. It's a good area. Difference today though is I brought my hunting boots, so I have no problem crossing the river today. Should be a fun video. So I'm looking off in the distance there in the river and I see a basketball or something. So that's kind of interesting. Wilson is here. Check that out. Look at that, Wilson. Oh, it is Wilson. Look at that, Wilson. You ready to go get Wilson? Go get it, dude. Got mud in his mouth. We're here. It's a nice area. I love it out here. So I went to cross the river and I busted my butt, got all wet. So that's where we are right now. Life is still good. I went to go to the car to get my shoes because my feet were getting warm and I fell down in the water. It was funny. I slipped and fell and so now my boots are wet. And behind the camera there, I've got my socks wrung out and they're hanging in a tree drying. So I got my shoes on, but I don't have no socks. This is kind of the area that I'm planning to build my shelter right here. She has a tent for her, so she's gonna just set up her little bivy. I'm getting ready to cut some materials that I can use to build my shelter. But before I get too busy cutting materials for shelter, I want to talk briefly about the very first tool that I like to use or make when I get out, and that is a baton. So I see a piece of wood right inside of here. It looks like it'll work very well for a baton, so I'm going to go ahead and extract that. And I don't have to worry about these resources getting too diminished because there's a lot of it out here and it grows like wildfire. So cutting a few of these down for shelter or to make my baton, it's really not going to hurt anything in the big scheme of things. So this piece right here is perfect. It's about 1.25 inches in diameter. And the amount of uses that I can get out of this piece is a lot. I could use this for pounding my tent stakes down, helping with my shelter. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I could use this baton for. There we go. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So what I want to do is I just want to kind of clean it up a little bit. And that's about it. Just a nice piece of wood. Again, this will be for batoning pieces of wood. It'll be for cleaning debris off of my shelter building material. It'll be for putting tent stakes in the ground. You name it. That's my first tool right there. I cut a handful of saplings here, and this should be enough to build the frame for my shelter. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Okay, let's take a quick look at my shelter. Nothing too fancy. I just have a simple A-frame here. Got a tarp and a little bit of debris over the backside. I don't want convection to come through, so I'm stopping the wind. Very simple shelter. It didn't take long to set up, maybe an hour. I have my shema up here. I'm going to be using that for a kind of a door, and then right here is my fire pit right down here, and then inside we're not completely done, but I have a drop cloth here, and this is what it looks like inside. Now you can see that as I go in from the doorway in, coming towards me, it slopes down towards these debris. That's a good thing because my head's going to be at the front of the shelter and my feet is going to be going down. And that's important because if you go to sleep and you wake up and your head's lower than your feet, you could wake up with a very, very bad migraine. Now, one thing that I want to make note of is when you make a shelter like this and you're filling the gaps with debris, you can see that I still have work to do. There's a little bit of air pockets, and I need to close those all up. But more importantly, you want to watch out for spiders. You want to watch out for, especially in my case over here, bark scorpions. They're about the size of a quarter, and they like to hang around Cottonwood area. So this is all Cottonwood debris. So be careful for those bark scorpions. Be careful for spiders and things like that. So this is my shelter, and it's kind of neat because the further that you get in, the warmer it gets. Like the warmth is about right here where I'm sitting right now, and there's plenty of head space. I'm sitting right here. I've got plenty of head space, so it's perfect. All I did was I made two little A-frames, and then I ran a ridge pole up the top. This is just tamarack wood, which is very abundant here. It's a salt cedar. So that's a look at the shelter. Again, I still have a little bit more work to do. I'm shoring up the sides, making sure that there's no wind coming in, because the wind is the big killer. The other killer is conduction, heat loss through conduction, which is when the heat from a smaller, warmer body is being absorbed by the coldness of the larger, colder body. So I'm going to protect myself against that. I have this drop cloth. If I could make some sort of raised bed, which I'm not going to use. I have a wool blanket and I have another blanket. I have a few blankets that I'm going to come in and lay on as a mattress. And if I had a sleeping pad or something like that, that'd be perfect. So that's where I'm going to be sleeping tonight. I can't wait. Next step here is right in the front, right there. I've been digging a little bit. That's going to be the fire pit. And I'm getting kind of hungry, a little bit thirsty. So I'm going to dig that out, get a fire going right there, and get some food. Can't wait. Look at this beautiful tinder bundle that my daughter made for me. This thing is like perfect. This is cottonwood bark. And then I have a little pile of smalls here. The method that I'm going to use today for this fire is going to be flint and steel. So I've got my striker, piece of chert, and char cloth. So inside of here I have a little piece of char cloth. Put the rest of this stuff in real quick. I don't like risking losing stuff, so I'm just going to fold this char in half, and I'm going to rest it right on my rock here. The idea is that I'll strike it really quickly and that the char will capture the ember, the spark. Okay, and once that happens, I'm going to lay it into this tinder bundle. I'm going to blow it to a flame, and hopefully we'll have ignition. Okay, we're getting close. I need to find a better edge on this piece of rock here. Right there. There we go. I'll set this right here, and let's lay this down. From here, I'm going to fold this around it just like a taco, and very lightly. I don't want to squeeze it too tight, because if I squeeze it too tight, it won't let the air through. So the idea is the more smoke that I see, the more I blow. And I already have flames. I'm turning it upside down on itself to allow the flames to go where they need to go. So now I'm going to put some loose smalls over there. And that's our fire. Flint and steel. That's a great ignition method. So again, there's my striker and there's my chert. This chert is found in this area where we are, actually. So you always want to make sure that you keep an eye on how much char cloth you have for that next fire. When you start getting low, it's time to use this tin and make more char. But we're doing okay. So here's our fire. Very simple fire today. We're just using this old cottonwood bark. And you can hear my daughter cutting wood in the background. I have a piece of dry cow dung. This is going to go on the fire because the smoke that this produces works as a very effective bug repellent. So bugs that they don't want to fly around this smoke. And that's all there is to it. It's a very simple technique and it's very effective. It's almost time for supper. So I've got my Katadyn BeFree, and I've got a 32-ounce bottle here, and inside of this bottle I have some Gatorade. We did a lot of energy putting together that shelter, so I'm ready to replenish some electrolytes and get hydrated. I haven't drank much since we've been out here. So this bag holds 3 liters of water. This is water from the Little Colorado. It just takes it a second to get this filter wet. This thing has a very good flow rate. So I'm just going to make me some drinking water, or Gatorade rather. Whoops, pay attention. I'm going to make me some Gatorade, and supper is getting close. We brought some leftover Chinese food and we're going to just heat that up over the fire. And we'll be eating here pretty soon. I was hoping to make a wooden spoon first, but I didn't get to it. I got too busy making that shelter, and we had a good time. We were visiting, and we were singing off camera, having a good time. That's what life's about, folks. Getting out and doing your thing. Teach your kids techniques. Teach them. That's what's going to carry on this bushcraft tradition, this outdoor way. You don't teach them, they don't learn. So this will get me 32 ounces. I should drink 3 32-ounce bottles in a day. So me alone, I should drink this whole bladder. Your urination count is important. I'll talk about that again, you know, in some future video. The importance of urination count. But for now, I have 32 ounces of Gatorade. Orange Gatorade, my favorite color, my favorite flavor. Another thing that's really cool about using these like Gatorade is if you have some questionable water that you're filtering from, and which is our case, we have the Little Colorado. What this does is it masks the unpleasant taste that the water might have. That is good. Orange Gatorade makes it a lot easier, I guess you could say, to stay hydrated when it tastes good. I've got some leftover Chinese food here. I'm just gonna pop in the pan. I got a little bit of lo mein. Got some mushrooms with chicken. I'm gonna heat it all up in one mess. And real quick, before I actually go heating, I'm gonna burn that. And I'm gonna talk about this utensil that I made. This is just a little quick utensil that I made, just like a little spatula. I chose a fork on a branch and I cut it right there at the fork. So that's what I'm going to use to eat my food with. So I'm going to wait for that stuff to burn down because I don't want to cook over that nasty stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to just set a few sticks down here. The purpose of these is going to be to give me a flat surface to set my pan on so that I can cook my meal. And I'm hoping you can see that there from your point of view. I love these little chamois. I like to set them on the ground. They give you a nice clean surface to work with. Helps make camp a lot more comfortable. I use them for everything too. Let's go ahead and start warming this stuff up. It's going to cook very quickly because all we're doing is really just heating it up. And then we're going to eat. Smells fabulous. You can see that I took the skin off of the stick from this section down. Any section of this that might have any potential contact with my food, I didn't want the bark on it. There we go. Boy, that's one of the easiest meals I've ever made out in the woods. Reheat some Chinese food. Onions, mushrooms, noodles. There's some cabbage in there, carrots, chicken. Good meal. There we go. Let's see if it's hot enough. Almost. We're close. I'm not going to bore you with all that. Oh yeah. Yep. It's all done, so it's ready to eat. That's beautiful. That's delicious. Mushroom noodles. You guys are probably laughing at me, huh? Because I had it in my mouth. my beard. That's hitting the spot. That is delicious. Folks, that's what life's about. Just getting out and enjoying this stuff. Don't worry if the food sticks to your pan. We got all kinds of sand here. We got a river right there behind us. So we could run down to the river, get some sand in this pan, wash it by hand with sand, put some river water in it, and be clean. I just got done eating my Chinese food. Now it's time for a fortune cookie. And my daughter's gonna make some rice. So let's find out what my fortune is here. I don't know, I'm kind of weird about fortune cookies. Like, I don't read the note until I eat the whole cookie. Like, it won't come true unless you eat the whole cookie first. How silly is that, right? So I try not to look at the note. Smoke getting you? That handle might be hot when you go to grab it.
Yeah, probably.
All right. I never got a fortune like that. It says, Jiu-Jitsu 2000, you are the most handsome bushcrafter we've ever seen. Wow. Have you ever got a fortune like that?
Nope.
I'm just kidding. It says, a feeling is an idea with roots. Pretty cool. So that's my fortune. A feeling is an idea with roots. Learn Chinese. Dinner. The word dinner. Wan Kan. Lucky numbers 52, 16, 56, 25, 2, and 1. Entertainment's good when you're out here like this. It really is. Having something to do, something to keep you busy, something to keep your mind occupied. Which brings up another point. Where'd Wilson go? I think Wilson's still down there at the river. I might go get him. I'm boiling some river water. She's making some rice. And we're just chilling. We got the vulture there waiting for his supper. Pretty cool. Kind of like being at the beach. We got our music going on behind us. Behind you. And this water here that I'm boiling, this is just for cleaning. Just river water. And I'm testing this pan a little more, seeing what it'll take. I really like it. This pan is solid. This Cuisinart, good pan. So if you haven't seen that video, this is it. There'll be a link in the description box down below on that video. This Cuisinart. This is a good pan. I've been putting sand in it, and I took it down to the river and I wiped it down with sand and scratched the hell out of it, and I've been cooking everything in it, and it's just a good pan. I wanted to show you this light that my daughter's got for her tent. So this is a little solar panel here on the top, and it's got this little spot here. You pull this out and squeeze these together, and it's kind of hard getting air in it, to be honest with you. Kind of pull it. So you inflate that thing up, just like that. And then she can hang this on the inside of her tent, and it's got 3 settings. It's got, I think that's high. No, excuse me, low then high. And then flashing. So again, there's low, high, and flashing. Now I've used this thing on low before, and I got pretty good runtime It stayed lit up all night. And then the cool thing again is you can charge it in the morning. And they're like 12 bucks on Amazon for these knockoffs. And this one I've been impressed with. It's worked pretty good. So I've got something similar, but mine's not solar powered. Mine runs on 3 AAA batteries. It's made by Black Diamond. So you basically unscrew the top and you got 3 AA batteries in there. I think hers is cooler because it's solar. But you basically push this and it turns it on. And then if you push and hold, it'll cycle down and it'll blink when it gets to the bottom and blinks when it gets to the top. So you can choose whatever function you want. And this thing lasts a long time too. And I think it's pretty neat because on my shelter, I'll be able to just hang it like right there and I'll have light all the way into my shelter. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is the thermal Bivy emergency bivouac. SOL, they make good stuff. So this is what I'm going to be using tonight to sleep in. It's very light. It's an emergency bivy. So one thing that I want to make a note of before we go trying to use this thing is it's very important to not get a ton of layers on and then get inside of this. You'll actually be colder. What this does is this uses Mylar, and so you need to have like maybe 1 layer of clothes on so that you can use the reflective element of this bivouac. So if it doesn't work out for me, I have my pack over here kind of behind me and I've got a full sleeping bag in there. But I'm going to try this and see how it works. It says reflects 80% of your body heat. Very lightweight. It's 8.9 ounces. It's a very lightweight thing. And pretty cool. 252 grams. It's windproof, waterproof. So windproof, it's going to stop convection. And if you look into my shelter, I've already got protection from conduction. I've got a little lantern down there on the end of the shelter and then one close to us. Those will help heat up a little bit. Plus I got my fire pit right here. So it should work out pretty good. I'm going to take a look and see how it does. So it says 2-ply durability, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this up and see how it works. Now if you're curious about this light, this is that light. So this thing's pretty cool. Charges during the day with solar. And then it's got 3 settings. You have it off. It's got 1 setting. Push it again, it's the 2nd setting. And then it's got a flash. And it does a pretty good job. Low, high, and flashing. So we'll probably leave it on low for now. And I just hang it right up here in a tree. So this thing is pretty thick. That's the first thing I'm noticing. It's pretty thick. Surprisingly thick. I've never used one of these before, so this will be my first time seeing how good it works. So it's a mylar type material. Kind of cool. It's got like Velcro or something on it. Let's see. So that's like a bedroll basically. Oh, that's pretty cool. So, oh wow, look at that. It's got like a mesh. So if your feet get like condensation and stuff in there, you can open that up to breathe. That's pretty cool. This is the top. That's what it looks like inside. It kind of feels, it doesn't feel like mylar. It feels like it's kind of soft. That's kind of cool. Reminds me of something that you'd see around a fire thing or something. So I'm going to drag this into my shelter here. And that's going to be my emergency bivouac. That's definitely interesting. What does it look like from your point of view?
It looks like you're sleeping in a foil bag.
That's kind of what it feels like. Kind of cool. It actually, I can tell you right now that it breaks convection very good. That's pretty cool. Here's a look from inside of my shelter. So what's happened here is I've got these longboards right here that are close to me, and as they burn, I shove them out into the fire more. So I've got my water right there. I've got my longwood right there, and then my daughter's got her shelter over there. And I've got a little pile of wood that she put for me here, and I'm ready to go. And then this little guy, he's just kind of like, he freaks out. He doesn't like fire. He's a little scaredy cat. But that's what we got going on. So good night, everybody. I'll see you in the morning. As far as this mylar blanket is concerned, this thing is, it's very comfortable. It's not cold outside yet though. But I'll definitely keep you updated on what I'm thinking about this. But so far, I like it. It's cool. I gotta tell you something funny. So I'm laying here. It's about 9 o'clock. And I can hear in the tent, I can hear my brown dog snoring. It's cracking me up. It's about 3 in the morning, and I just woke up. Had to stoke the fire. My body was warm, my face was warm, head's warm, but my toes were cold. So I woke up and I stoked the fire, and I couldn't get my toes warm. My feet were warm, but my toes were cold. So I got to looking around, and you know what it was? It was kind of one of them funny things. It was my socks, the tips of my socks. My toes were wet. I'm hearing a bunch of coyotes right now. They've been yiping all night. Hopefully you can hear that. That little guy, he pays attention when he hears that. They're all around this area. They've been yiping all night. But back to my toes. So this Bivy has been working great, except it makes condensation. So there was a moment where I opened that little vent. When I stretched out, I ripped the Velcro or whatever, and it opened up and my feet got cold. So I closed that back up and my feet got warm again. The blanket does a good job, but it doesn't allow any breathing, I guess. So the tips of my toes, my socks were wet. It's kind of weird. So it's like I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking at my phone here to see what the temperature is. It's about 30 degrees outside. not too bad for temperatures. Well, good morning everybody. Right now it is about 7:30 in the morning and it's about 25 degrees outside right now and rising. Temperature should be around, I'm looking at my phone here, should be about 29 degrees by 8 o'clock and 54 by noon. So as far as my shelter is concerned, my shelter held up very well. I had to stoke the fire a few times during the night, but that was to be expected. Now my feet were the issue last night. That little bivy worked great, but about every 3 hours I woke up and my feet were cold and the fire was out. So it started off not just being my feet cold, it was just my toes were cold. And I didn't think too much of it. I went back to bed. Thought, okay, cold toes, whatever. Went back to bed, and then I stoked the fire, and then I woke up about 3 hours later, and my feet were cold. Not just my toes anymore, but my feet. Excuse me. So I got out of the little bivy, and I stoked the fire, and then as I was looking at my feet, I noticed that my socks were wet from condensation. So that blanket works good, but it promotes the production of sweat. My body was warm. My legs were warm. My whole body, everything was warm. My face was warm. But my feet were the subject that got cold. So I dried my socks out, stoked the fire, and then I put my shoes on with my socks once they were dry, thinking that would be a lot better, and it was a lot better for a while. Worked good for about 3, maybe 4 hours, and then I woke up again. And I went through quite a bit of wood keeping this fire going, but I did get a good, probably a good 3.5 solid hours of sleep at one point, and then but for the most part I was up every 3 hours stoking the fire. Shelter did great. The coyotes were calling all night, but that's about it. This has been a good camp. It's been a lot of fun. Now the big question, I guess, would be, would I recommend that thermal, that bivy? Yeah, I would. But it is frustrating. I mean, the temperatures got down to about 24 degrees, which ain't too bad temperatures. But the bivy, I mean, it worked good. It just creates condensation. And if you think about the 5 heat loss mechanisms, you think about conduction, convection, radiation, respiration, which is your breathing, and then you got perspiration, which is your sweat. And that's what that makes happen. So it wasn't a very good thing, in my opinion, as far as producing perspiration. That's definitely one of the heat loss mechanisms. So but would I buy it again? It was about $21. Would I buy it again? Absolutely. Because I think if you were in a situation where there was a lot of wind or moisture, raining and stuff, that'd be definitely a very good thing to have. Oh, one more thing I wanted to tell you is when it comes to the shelter, for a one-night thing, the shelter was perfect. Now, if I was going to be staying long-term, a couple weeks, maybe a month, I would definitely do a couple things. I would finish the debris, make it where there's no airflow leaving the shelter, and I would raise this ridge pole about 6 to 8 inches, because right now I have just enough height, but I have to stay bent over a little bit. So if I would have had a ridge pole maybe 6-8 inches taller, I could have actually sat a little more comfortable. But those are minor things. I made this shelter with the intent to come in and sleep and get out of the elements. Now, the canvas drop cloth that I had, as well as the wool blanket and the other blanket, as far as a conduction barrier, they worked excellent. I didn't get any cold from the ground. And the shelter, as far as breaking convection, it worked great. Radiation worked great. I had the pile of wood back there behind the fire, right there, and that pile of wood worked pretty fair as a reflector, so I got heat radiating in to the shelter too. So everything as far as the shelter is concerned worked good. Having the shema around my neck kept my neck warm, and that's about it. It was a good night. Okay, let me talk about. Looks, my lens is dirty. Okay, I wanted to talk to you about my water bottle. So my water bottle was pretty effective last night as far as keeping my feet warm. So what I would do is I would set it near the coals, and it would warm the water inside, and then I'd throw it down in the bottom of my little bivvy, and it'd act like a heater. Now normally I would use a stainless steel bottle, but I didn't bring one for this trip. I brought this Ozark Trail, or this Walmart one. The bottle worked good, but at one point I must have been half asleep. It got a little too close to the coals, so that's what happened. Kind of melted my water bottle a little bit. But as far as using it as a heater, it worked pretty good. Took over my shelter all night, didn't you, buddy? Look at him, he's just freezing to death. This is an Arizona dog. He don't know what that thing is called. Cold. He was freezing to death. So cold last night, I thought I was gonna shiver to death. He was so cold, this poor little guy. I had an extra shema. I wrapped it around him. And then I had my, if I can get it, old Fatty's sitting on it. I had this blanket. And the more stuff I gave him, the more he'd shiver. Like, he wanted to get spoiled. And then this other one, she was in the tent with my daughter. And my daughter told me that during the night, she said her face got cold. But she said the dog, this old one, well, she snored all night for one. I could hear her snoring all night from here. That's about, 6-8 feet away. So my daughter tells me that this dog here, she has her sleeping pad, and then she has her bedroll, and then she has a blanket, a real thick quilt, and she's got a shema too. So this dog was originally at the foot of the bed, I guess, underneath the blanket, and then that wasn't good enough. I guess she got cold or something, so then she crawled in the bedroll with my daughter, and I guess pushed her out or something. And then next thing my daughter knew, she wasn't even on my daughter got pushed off of the sleeping pad. So this brown dog here had the sleeping pad, the bedroll, and the blanket. Like, what more is there to take? Kick her out of the tent? Oh man. And that's how this little guy was. He don't know what cold is. He's a good actor. Like, he'll sit there and shake, and then I'll give him my shema, and then he'll shake more because he knows I have this blanket. And then this little guy, he's such an actor. He really wasn't that cold. I mean, my feet were cold, but this little guy was definitely winning an Oscar last night. Watch out, buddy. Take a look at their dog water. Solid ice. Get a thicker stick. There's their dog water. So that's the kind of temperatures we had last night. I'm in the middle of cooking right now, and I've got some water here that I need to finish up filtering. So what I'm cooking is I'm going to make some potato soup, just very simple. So I've got some potatoes in here boiling up, just nothing fancy. I got the same thing for the dogs, except theirs is potato peels, so they're actually getting more nutrition. But what I want to talk about while those potatoes are cooking is this filter, okay, this BeFree. Now this thing sat in my pocket all night, but it was cold, and they say that if these filters freeze, that it could damage the hollow microfiber membrane, or whatever they call it. Hollow fiber membrane, I think is what they call it. So what you got to do is you got to do an integrity check. So I'm going to moisten the filter and just get a little bit of water out. Once I know that the filter is producing water, that the filter is wet, then I try to blow air in. If I cannot blow air into my pouch, the filter's still good. If I can blow air into the pouch, one of the membranes might be damaged, and I can still use the filter, but I'll need to boil the water because there might be some things passing it. But in my case right now, filter's good because I cannot blow any air into this bag. So that's how you do a check on the filter. Very simple, not hard at all. I'm just going to empty out this bag, and we'll be eating here pretty soon. Let's take a look here and see what the dog's potatoes look like. Yeah, they're cooking right away, and they look like they're almost done. They've been cooking pretty good. Let's take a look at these ones. Set this lid right there. So these ones are the ones that we're going to eat. Let's get one. Yeah, they're breaking, so they look ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain this water, and then I'm going to add some soup mix. The soup mix that I'm going to add is this Progresso creamy potato with bacon and cheese. There we go. Okay, these potatoes for the doggies are done. In fact, they might be a little overdone, but they don't care. And this soup, it is ready to go. So I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy a good bowl of soup with my daughter. We're going to get some good nutrients, and then we'll be hiking out of here, calling it a day. Now I messed up a little bit. I spilled a little bit of ash in the soup. Potatoes are good.
Not good.
Did you try it yet?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I did.
Dr. Thunder is my favorite. Boy, That's good after drinking nothing but water. So that's what our soup looks like. Got little bits of bacon, and then I put extra potatoes in. Pretty tasty. A nice warm meal out here sure helps boost your morale, especially when you've been sleeping in cold temperatures. For us, it's cold last night. So there's the potato peels in the leftover soup. And just like this is going to be the dog food. They love it. They get the potato peels, they get the leftover. We pretty much ate all the potatoes and everything out of the soup. That's what I give my dogs. There she goes. Get it, buddy. And wagging his little tail. Little stinker. They help clean the pans, and then all this sand here goes in the pans after they finish. And that's what I use to clean these stainless steel. Pretty cool. Whoops, hand in the way. Look at this. Look at her nose when she comes up. This is hilarious. Come here. She's... Did you get it all? This guy, he eats a lot more careful. He don't want his nose dirty. Now it's time for kitchen prep duty. I gotta go clean these pans. Got these pans clean. Now, of course, they're not clean. I'm gonna take them home and wash them. That's what that one looks like. Whoops. This one came out real good. This one wasn't even dirty anyway. But what helps is when I spit, unless you have water with you, sometimes you can take like a jug of water with you, and it helps when you put the water with the sand. It really helps it work. The bottom, I got the bottom pretty clean. This thing was like black because it was over the fire a lot. I didn't worry about the sides too much. But yeah, so that's what we've got. Well, folks, I want to say thank you for joining us on the February 2018 overnighter. It's been a lot of fun. Look at that sun. It's been fun. The dogs had a good time. We had a good time. Both of our packs are pretty heavy. Her pack's heavy.
Yeah.
She has to walk like a hunchback of Notre Dame. I do too. But we brought a lot of gear. So again, thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video. Share this video. And as always, if you like what you see, please subscribe. And we'll talk at you next time. I don't know what we got planned for March, but I'm sure it'll be fun. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Now we get to cross the river. Yeah, that's where I slipped. Take my time. Cold. Yeah, this stuff is really slick. And I don't have the waterproof housing on my camera, and yesterday when I came out and I slipped and fell, I tossed the camera upwind, so to speak, and it landed over here somewhere in the dry area. It was either that or take it with me in the water, and I chose not to take it with me.